Hey, welcome back. I'm Keith Barry.
I'm Emily Thomas.
And I'm Mike Quincy.
And today we're talking about a car that we just bought, for our test program. And it's an interesting one. It is the 2023 Kia Sportage. It's a compact SUV. It's sort of the sibling to the Hyundai Tucson. Ours, the one that we bought, is a mid-range EX all-wheel drive. It cost us about $31,000, which is a lot less than the average new car. And we didn't have to pay a markup on it. And the Sportage has been redesigned for 2023. There are three new trim levels that are all about looking rugged and being adventure-focused. They're the X-Line, the X-Pro, and the X-Pro Prestige. And they have blackout wheels and fog lights and all-terrain tires. But, you know, the other LX, SX, and SX Prestige are also around. It's longer than the old Sportage, 7.1 inches longer. And all-wheel drive versions get a teensy bit more ground clearance. Now, the new model did get a price bump, so it's more than $1,000 more for the base model. But do we still think that this is an affordable vehicle? I mean, it starts under $30,000, and a really well-equipped one that we just bought is just $31,000. Quincy, is this an affordable family car?
Well, I guess in the broad scope of things, I suppose it is. But just in terms of looking at the average price of a new car, which is about $46,000, which is still crazy to me that an average car costs that much money. But the problem with it really isn't so much as whether or not the Sportage is necessarily affordable, but it's what Kia and Hyundai are really doing right now in terms of their own retail space. We have this great story on consumerreports.org about it's called the worst deals on new cars right now, and it's absolutely dominated by models from Hyundai and Kia. I mean, the Kia Telluride is 21% over MSRP. The Kia Forte and Sorento are 20% over MSRP. The Kia Rio, Hyundai Accent, Kia Seltos, and Kia Carnival are 19% over MSRP, and the Kia K5 is 18% over MSRP. I mean, you know, what are Kia and Hyundai selling right now? I mean, fresh donuts? What the heck?
I think it's interesting, though, that the price went up on the Sportage, and they repriced it, and we didn't have to pay over MSRP. So maybe it's just the industry is sort of shaking itself out. But that's good news for Kia and Hyundai, right? That these are good cars that people are willing to pay more than what they're asking for them, right?
Well, it does say something, especially in terms of like the Kia Telluride, which is, you know, absolutely breaking records not only in sales but in Consumer Reports' own testing. It's almost like it's not necessarily that we put this vehicle on the map, but since it got you know, exactly, Emily. But I mean, we since then they can't keep them in stock, and it's really turned out to be a really good vehicle, really good reliability, and easy to recommend. But as we've talked about in other Talking Cars podcasts, just buying one or buying just about anything right now can be a real challenge.
Yeah. Now, Emily, is there a reason why you would maybe just want to stick with one of the lower trim lines on this, or not? You know, are you gaining or losing anything by getting the more affordable version?
So with Kia and Hyundai, one of the great things is that even their base models often come standard equipped with a lot of safety systems that typically with other brands, even luxury brands, you would have to pay extra for. So for example, with the base trim of the Sportage, you get automatic emergency braking with pedestrian and cyclist detection. You get lane following assist, lane keeping assist, lane departure warning. If you want the additional features of blind spot warning, rear cross traffic alert, their safe exit assist, you only have to go up one trim line, which is about $2,000 more, which is not that bad. So the trim line that we got, the EX, which is like the second up from the bottom, gives you all of this great standard safety equipment. Another system that comes standard on it is their rear occupant alert, the one that's based on their door logic. So it provides you with a reminder at the end of the trip to check your back seats. And new to the 2023 Kia Sportage, which I'm super pumped about because I've been waiting for Kia to finally do this, is a rear belt minder. Yay! Everybody do a dance. Because
so
I pretty much
the thing that
did.
tells you if your kid takes off the seatbelt while in the back seat and
Yeah,
tries
so if
to.
any rear occupant unbuckles during the course of the trip, you get an alert in the driver cluster, which is great because rear belt usage is a lot lower than front belt usage, and your seatbelt is your first line of defense in any crash. So it's super important. I'm really excited they finally put that on. And another great system to have as standard equipment for a base trim, you know? So safety wise, you really get a lot of bang for your buck when even purchasing one of the lower trim lines from Kia.
So yeah, that's great. And the other thing is, I look at this list of the features in the window sticker of the REX, which again, bread and butter vehicle. You know, when we buy a car to test at CR, we buy the version that most people are going to buy, not the super stripped down or the super loaded version. It isn't just safety features. There's also there's other stuff too. You get heated seats and a heated steering wheel. You get an upgraded infotainment system. You get automatic wipers. You get a wireless charger. You don't get adaptive cruise control. You don't get wireless CarPlay or wireless Android Auto. But still, I mean, you get USB ports in the seats in the back. Now we've all driven this vehicle. Quince, I'll start with you. What do you think behind the wheel? Is it? I mean, is that where things fall apart, or is it still just riding high here?
Well, no, it's always a mixture of good news and bad news. One of the things that Hyundai and Kia seems to be doing, actually mostly Kia, is they have this switchable touch panel for the climate and the infotainment system. It's carried over from the EV6, which we've already had a lot of experience with. It's really tedious to use. I'm looking at the digital logbook, and just about everyone is kind of thrown off by this at first because it defaults to the climate system first of all. And if you go to like tune the radio or adjust the volume, you've got these rotary knobs, but you're adjusting the climate system, and you have to see the little arrow, the up down arrow, and hit that to get into the audio system. I mean, it's a really odd design. It can't be about saving space or anything like that. Listen, we've always been happy that car makers are giving us rotary knobs for volume and tuning and climate and all that stuff. But to have them kind of do double duty in this case is kind of confounding to me. I know we'll get used to it. If you drove it every day, you get used to it. And here at Consumer Reports, we're always driving different cars. So it kind of keeps our experience fresh. But I mean, overall, this car has some decent space. It has a really usable back seat, good visibility. Driving it is not very exciting, I suppose. The steering is reasonably responsive, but not sporty. The engine has adequate power, but it gets a little bit noisy. The delivery isn't as smooth or as consistent as maybe you'd think. It's kind of we talked about, is this an affordable car? This is, maybe we think of this as kind of a real mainstream car. It's not super sporty, not super luxurious, but it's probably more than adequate for a lot of people.
Yeah, Emily, I remember you talking about the Tucson, which this shares a lot with, when you drove the non-hybrid Tucson and then the hybrid Tucson, and just the get up and go was not there.
Yeah, the Sportage kind of reminded me of driving the Tucson, where you're kind of waiting for that initial power delivery when you're getting off the line. It comes in gradually, but it's not, there's not a lot of oomph there. But when I drove the Tucson hybrid, because of the electric component, you do get that initial power delivery, which is a lot smoother, and I enjoyed that a lot more. I did not really enjoy driving the Tucson. And so when I got a chance to drive the Tucson hybrid, I was like way more happy about it, which was great. So the Kia Sportage was okay. I took it around the handling course, and I'm not Ryan or Joe, so I wasn't taking it fast around the bends or anything. But even still, it didn't feel as steady as some of the other vehicles that I've taken around the course before. And, like Quincy said, the back seat is pretty comfortable. You have decent fore-aft room back there. The cargo space is really good, which, I think is great, because when I think of the Sportage, I think that it's more of a family vehicle. And so for people that have kids or, taking their kids to practices and stuff like that, you have plenty of room for all your kids' gear, your groceries, things of that nature, which would be great for like the day-to-day kind of things that you need to do. But like Quinn said, it's not exciting, but it certainly does its function. It's great for what you need to do, which is transporting you and your lifestyle. So
Keith, I know that you and I are big fans of hybrid models. When you have a choice of a regular or a hybrid, you and I are always like, get the hybrid, get the hybrid. So we're kind of seeing this pattern here with the Tucson versus the Tucson hybrid. We've experience with the Santa Fe versus the Santa Fe hybrid. It seems like everything Emily's saying, and I agree. The hybrid version really almost always seems to be the way to go here.
Yeah, and the good news is that the hybrid version is coming. It's not here yet. It's coming from a different factory, but it is going to arrive, and I think it might fix a lot of those issues. It's not going to fix. It's not going to grow 2 extra rotary knobs in the center console, but
I don't know. Maybe they'll hear us. Maybe they'll change it.
Maybe. I know it's so unfortunate. I mean, I'm sure you get used to it, but it's not like there isn't space. It's a nice roomy interior. Anyhow, yep, we are waiting to get our full test data on it. It's going into test very, very soon. The Sportage that we purchased, it's getting its break-in miles now, and we're going to buy the hybrid version as soon as that comes out as well. So we'll have some more information about it. But I imagine that if you go to cr.org and look at what we say about the Tucson, it might give you a pretty good idea. Because I don't know if we mentioned this. You probably know this, but if you've been long-time Talking Cars viewers, but Kia and Hyundai share a corporate parent. So that's why they have so much in common. On to questions. We have a video question. Thank you. Video questions. Send them to talkingcars@icloud.com. Our video question is from Theo from State College, Pennsylvania.
As much as I do love my Volvo V60, save the wagons, it's time to replace it in the next few years. I'm looking at the new Acura Integra with the 6-speed manual, and I'm wondering what your thoughts are on this. I know you guys say to usually stay away from the first 1 or 2 model years of a new car, but I'm wondering if the new Integra is an exception because of its relationship with the current and past generation Civic Si and the Acura ILX. Let me know your thoughts. Thank you. And keep on talking cars.
So yeah, this is an interesting one because he's right. And by the way, I love that V60. That was I remember driving that car, and I enjoyed that generation of Volvo. But yeah, Theo's totally right. The Integra is basically just a version of a car that already exists. So is it really a first year? Quince, you talked to Anita Lamb, our statistician, and she's the one who calculates these. What information have you come back with?
Well, in general, we're predicting about an average reliability for the first year of the Integra, and Honda and Acura are not the slam dunk for reliability that they used to be. I mean, they're among the most reliable brands, but even with a first year model, I think buyers should be a little bit cautious. Like I said, you can't just assume that because it's from Japan, say that it's going to be able to knock it out of the park.
Yeah, I would say that in this particular case, where it's sort of a limited vehicle and it's special, and if you've already lived with an early 2000s Volvo, I think you're probably going to be happy with the reliability here. So I think I think you're going to be okay with this, Theo. If you're obviously not the most risk averse person in the world. Yeah.
Emily and I both laughed when you said that, by the way. No disrespect to the Volvo lovers out there.
I've been down that road.
I mean, it's an upgrade. Early 2000s to a 2022, 2023.
And super producer Dave Abrams, knew you were going to be hosting Keith. Is like, oh, let's give him a Volvo question.
Yes, we won't go down my own automotive history.
Subtle love for old cars.
Exactly. But the one thing that would have made me wary about this car is if they had put in the Acura infotainment system with the kind of dueling touchpads. And that is just, I dislike it. And I think a lot of people at CR with a lot more training and education around human factors and user experience feel the same way. So I'm in very good company. The good news is that Honda really went back to basics with that Civic interior. It's plain. It's almost like Audi 5 years ago, where everything is just exactly where you'd expect it. And there's that nice touchscreen right in the middle, pretty simple, exactly the same as the SI is what it looks like in photos. None of us have driven it, but at least it appears to be that it's going to be that Honda infotainment system. So that's not something to worry about. Emily, what else should he be looking at?
So it seems like wagons maybe would be a good option for you, Theo. So I would suggest the Subaru Crosstrek. I really enjoyed that car. I thought it was fun to drive, and I had it even with my kids and stuff, and we took them around. I even really liked our plug-in hybrid, except for the cargo space. So depending on what it is that you need cargo space for, if you just need to keep a few groceries or some small bags, that's fine. But the battery takes up a lot of room back there, and so it does limit your ability to cart around stuff. So if you have a more adventurous, outdoorsy lifestyle that needs more room, maybe not the best option, the plug-in hybrid, but you could get the regular one. And it performs well in our testing, has good reliability. So it's kind of a win-win if, you decide that the Integra is, perhaps you should wait a little bit.
It's a tough call. I mean, when it's like, save the wagons and save the manuals. And this has, been the enthusiast cry for many years. Cadillac put out some hot rod wagons with manual transmissions, and everyone oohed and awed them, and then nobody bought them. So Cadillac's like, well, there's really no market here. But I mean, he's obviously looking for some kind of hatchback practicality. And I was thinking like the Volkswagen GTI, the Toyota Corolla has a nice hatchback in the XSE version that you can get with a manual transmission. But really, if it's about wagons, I'm going with the Subaru Outback. I mean, I like Emily's pick. It's a little smaller, I think, maybe than he's used to with the Volvo, and the Outback has done so well in Consumer Reports evaluations. But Keith, you're not only a Volvo fanatic, but also kind of a wagon guy yourself. I think. What would you say to him?
I would say, there's one thing that's unfortunate about the Crosstrek with the manual. The one thing that is that it doesn't come with some of the safety systems, that they haven't figured out a way to integrate some of those safety systems in there. But the Crosstrek with a manual does exist, and it is something to to keep in mind. I don't know. It sounds like I would go with your heart here, and the Integra. I think you're going to be fine with it. If you like that look, if you like that kind of sedan-y sort of, it's if you like it, go for it. I'm giving you permission. I don't know. I'm giving permission.
Keith says yes. You have been blessed to get the Integra.
Yeah. Go get the Integra. Life's too short. All right. If you want to learn more about the Integra or any of the other vehicles we've talked about, head over to cr.org. We have a preview of it there. And if you have any questions about anything we've talked about or anything that we've never covered before, please send them to TalkingCars@icloud.com. Thanks so much for joining us, and we'll talk cars again soon.